Tune into the final take with MK Mariner every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.
Hello and warm welcome to yet another exciting edition of the Final Take with me, Seni MK Marina, live from our virtual studios here in Seattle. This week, Final Take examine West African region geopolitical outlook, engaging Gambian scholar Dr. Lamin Keita, a postdoctoral fellow at the Kellogg Institute for International Studies at Notre Dame University on the region's democratic advances and effort to strengthen sustained growth. Also coming up on the final take, we also extend the conversation with Mr. Ismail Abaji, a Gambian professional with 24 years in shipping, logistic and supply chain development, who join us live to discuss the emerging prospect shaping the growth in the logistics sector and the country's infrastructural development. That's the final take, examining a week of news and current affairs. Many thanks for joining us.
Tune into the final take with MK Mariner every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.
Welcome back, wherever you're joining us. This is the final take with me, Seni MK Marina. Let's now focus the beam on West Africa, where a growth of new regional body formed by Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, brings unprecedented competition for ECOWAS and broader effort to drive democratic economic growth in West Africa. It's a swing in the region political capital that excites the new conversation about the need for stronger collaboration to build a more robust and responsible bloc focused on delivering the needs of its citizenry. Let's bring in a postdoctorate fellow at Kellogg Institute for International Studies at the University of Notre Dame, Gambian scholar Dr. Lamin Keita, who join us live to examine the implication of the new political sphere shaping regional affairs in West Africa. Thanks for joining us. And what do we see when you presented with two regional powers framework driving transitional cooperation in West Africa? Are we witnessing a paradigm shift, Mr. Dr. Keita?
Okay, thank you, Seni, for that brief introduction. And I think this is a very interesting topic. And before that, I can introduce myself. And as we discussed before, I'm Dr. Lamin Keita. I hail from a small rural village in the Gambia called Bajana, Fonyi Bajana, close to Block. I did my primary school in Block Primary School and transitioned to Bottrop. And after I did my A-level and started studying journalism at the same time, practicing as a journalist in Daily Observer, Citizen FM, and GRTS. And finally, I immigrated to the United States and seek a political asylum during those days, turbulence, political geo-turbulence days of Jammeh, as we all recall. Those days were not easy for journalists, and I immigrated to the United States as we did.
Okay. So tell us, this week Mali faced a massive attack launched by militant group who are immensely destabilizing the region amid increasing security challenges. Can the Sahel Alliance do it alone? Do you see an end to perpetuation of violence in absence of a region-wide cooperation to tackle insecurity in the region?
Yes, the Mali phenomenon is is not something new. I will call it an old wine in a new bottle. But what we see in Mali should not surprise you as as a political analyst and as a theorist and as related to empirical observations on the ground. I did an extensive work in Mali more than since 2018, since their first election, Ibrahim Abubakar Keita's election that was post 2012 jihadist movement. The whole scenario started since 2012, as we all know. But what we are seeing today is not something new, it's just a shift. And if you allow me, I would dissect what is really happening in the Sahel region, especially in the context of West Africa. So, what really happened in the in Sahel, I would explain extensively, if you allow me. And an extensive research has been conducted by World Bank on poverty, analyzing about 130 30 countries. They were able to sample 60,000 poor people from 60 countries across the globe. But what they found out was that the Voice of the Poor project asserts that among major concerns that insecurity has increased over fourfold. Violence is on the rise. The poor felt like new economic opportunities have bypassed them. People with low incomes want governments and state institutions to be more accountable to them. Corruption is a key poverty indicator in all these scenarios. And the poor rely on formal networks and local institutions to survive. So what the feeling on the ground is, that's what I wanted to, the context on the ground, that's what I want to explain to you. This context, this kind of feeling, a euphoria with the hope that democracy came since the post-Cold War, where Samuel Huntington, if you ask him your question, he will say, well, I said this in my written analysis articles and books I wrote, that post World War, we will see a phenomenon like this, an increase of wars, an increase of wars in the name of jihadist militant movements. So you see people where have the television, means of televisions. Now you have the technology. In 1990s, you don't have means like this to invite me virtually. But now you have all these communication devices, improvement in technology, make people aware. But in those days, you can do this. What you can do today, if you think people will not be aware, today you are fooling yourself. So this is what is affecting most of our states, and this is what also transcend in the sense that that led and impact the state decay. The states, most of the states become decayed, and this also culminated in the feeling and in the sense that citizens were able to feel that governments are not accountable to their citizens, which is articulated by economic exploitation and deprivations. And this has also increased violence, as if we suggest that these conditions are co-constituted about citizens' concerns. So the citizen concerns is pivotal here. So if you go to Mali, you go to Burkina Faso, you go to Niger, these are very good countries where they have resources. If you go, you look at the resources they have in terms of cattle, in terms of herds, in terms of even geographical space is abundant. So why can the states capitalize on these resources and mobilize and do a kind of a good governance system? But it's not in place. So the citizens felt that they were marginalized and pushed against the wall. So this
Dr. Keita, you were part of a research team of political scientists and experts at the African Governance Innovation Lab to investigate and examine the rapid decline of democracy in Africa. Let's talk about the proportion. How fast is the happening, and what can nation do on a collaborative basis to leverage effort towards for a stronger democratization?
Yeah, so the solutions, let me give you the composition, because this is a very important question. And but I will just explain the data, because I don't want to talk about anything which are not substantiated and which are not research based and they are not tested and not
Right.
fact. I don't want to talk on anecdotes.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is that a research has been conducted since 2000 to 2000. The data from Afrobarometer has shown that from 2000 to present, and 11.2% of the populations were sampled. Out of in 2000, 11% of two thought that military were a legitimate form of government.
Mm-hmm.
But it up to 2000 to present, almost 23.7% of the military citizens felt that the military are legitimate form of government. This has doubled, and this really concerns people. So military also, exploit on the opportunities available to them. They know that citizens are frustrated in terms of governance. You think democracy will come, and democracy is a panacea to your socio-economic and socio-political being. Mm-hmm. But it has never been these items. And they have resources like minerals. For example, in the case of Mali, they have minerals in Kidal. But that mineral, the citizens felt that only benefit the French. Mm-hmm. So this since 2012, even pre-colonial time, citizens thought that, well, since colonial time, the colonials came, they colonized us, our own people came in the name of democracy. That has never benefited us. We are still poor more than the colonial days. What's wrong with the situations? So the citizens felt that, well, we have to push against anybody who is going to retaliate against the French. This is what we see, the phenomenon we see on the ground in the French-speaking countries. Mm-hmm. So the military is never a solution to the problem, but is, you think somebody, let me draw a scenario for you here. So if somebody who is going to provide an opportunity for you for a better schooling, for a better opportunities than somebody who will always tell you, come and beg from me, who will you take?
Better opportunities.
So this is the situation in the Sahel, in Mali. The citizens knew that military is never the solution, because if they claim what they claim to be the problem, they never when they came, they do the same thing, but they think they are citizens. That is even better than somebody who, an external force, who is going to impose themselves onto them.
But in the case of military leadership right now in West Africa, especially in countries like Burkina Faso, the young captain has been embraced. A lot of the population embrace him because they believe he has a vision for the country. So do you agree with his vision, or what do you think about his leadership compared to others? Because he seems to be embraced by his own people in Burkina Faso, because we have seen, the work he has started and he continued to do in that country.
Okay, a point of correction, Seni. During Jammeh's time, if you are outside, you think Jammeh is doing well, right?
Yeah.
If you are an insider, what happened?
You think he is just abusing people, he's not doing much. Yeah.
So let's pay attention to that. The guy could have a good faith and good heart for the country, but what he is doing on the ground is not compatible, consistent with the democratic norms and principles of democracy.
Can you highlight this, please?
Yeah, I can clarify this. And I went to Burkina and I worked with people. Today they are in jail because
in Burkina Faso,
they have a dissent with the government. So as a journalist like you, and I had a virtual interview with certain people, they were conscripted to become part of the military force who are fighting the jihadists. At night, they come and kidnap you. Nobody sees you and put you forefront in the jihadist movement, in the fight against the jihadists. But to make a drawback scenario for you during Thomas Sankara's time. Mm-hmm. So Thomas Sankara came with a very good heart. He came, and many people did not know this. Blaise put Thomas Sankara into his position to become a president. Blaise was in jail at the time of Thomas' arrest. So Blaise waged a rebellion to free Thomas Sankara. But when he was freed and he became a president, but Tama, his approach against the traditional chiefs called the Moronaba, sorry. They are called Moronaba. So this Moronaba, when Thomas Sankara came, he said everybody should be equal before the law, before the states. That's a good intention. Everybody should be equal. If you deserve, the state resources should be merit-based. If you don't deserve, you don't deserve to benefit from the state. If you work hard, you benefit. So this is a very good intention, but when this doesn't go well with the overall masses and it's not consistent with the culture and norms of this Burkina society. So he started cutting the keys, their water, electricity, city supplies. This is a research base, and I made an extensive research on this from the first-hand primary sources. So what they told me that one day they called Thomas Sankara Blaise and told him, well, you are a bastard. So ethnicity play a role here because one of the his mom or his dad was a Fulani, and one of his dad is a mom is a Mosi. So they told Blaise, you cannot make a house and make a bastard. Sorry for my language, to benefit.
It's okay.
So that meaning that he allowed Thomas Sankara to be in power, to be a president, while he's the legitimate and bona fide son of Burkina Faso. So Blaise cannot understand this for months, but they prevail at the end. He was able to kill Thomas Sankara and almost 12 other people, make it 13, broad daylight. So look at this is what is happening in Burkina Faso. Don't be surprised to see another coup in Burkina Faso, because the militant issue, number one, they got rid of the French. Number two, the U.S. forces in Burkina were
they are withdrawing. They're leaving.
So the third, they were able to lean towards Russia, and Russia, at the moment, their hands are full. They are tied. So you think of yourself before helping somebody else first. The Ukraine issue also is a factor here. So Burkina.
So what are the ordinary? Because we don't have much time, because your lecture is very interesting, and then we have a lot of guests on the lineup. So tell me, you've been to Burkina Faso. So what is the ordinary feeling, about this military leadership? Are they happy to have Captain Traoré as the leader? Or there is a different narration as what I'm hearing from you.
So Burkina is very complex and complicated. So what you think is underground and what is there, and if you really study it well, is different. And most of the citizens, as I said, they were frustrated, disillusioned because of the state racketeering in the name of democracy. Democracy has never brought any type of tangible solutions to their socio-economic or political situations. And the counter-insurgency issue is always increasing. And that has also convoluted the problem. So ordinary Burkinabe, today, if you tell them at the beginning, when I was there, I told them, well, this is the beginning of the military leadership. If they came and claim that we staged a military coup, and maybe within a short span of 2 months or 6 months, and gave up and give it and pathway transition to democracy, that's beautiful. But beyond that, they will never go. So, and what we see is just trying to traumatize the ordinary civilians, trying to delegitimize certain phenomena and claim that we want pan-Africanism. We don't want.
Because a lot of people are seeing Captain Traoré as a new Thomas Sankara in the region, because he believed to uplift his people against imperialist governments like France, and as you said, leaning to the Russians. And from your experience, because you were on the ground, so I would believe you. So this is not actually what is happening in Burkina Faso.
Yeah. So for me, as an individual who has traveled there and somebody who has studied these theories, and I'm not going to be surprised to tell you that, and I will be bold enough to tell you that you cannot force people to participate in their democratic movement in the name of building a state. You don't build a state through racketeers. I call them racketeers in the sense that I'll come to that when it comes to Gambia. I'll reserve that when we come to the part of Gambia.
Because we are coming to Gambia, very soon. Yeah.
Rulers, we name them as hunters. A hunter, metaphorically, if a hunter went and hunt for an animal, immediately he got that animal, he become comfortable enough that he forgets about what really needs to be done. So this is the situation in Burkina and elsewhere, as we saw in the Gambia itself. It's a testable case for us to revisit. When Jammeh came, he came with good intention, but he was, surrounded by people, sycophants. I'm sorry for my language. Rent-seekers who really think of themselves, and they malign him and consider him and turn him to be a devil who he is not. So this is the situation we see in Burkina and elsewhere. And this is also the kind of participation, as Robert Dahl said, the political scientist said, civil participation in our governance, if it's lacking, is never going to be successful, because the guy came and trying to force everybody, intimidate all sectors of the society to be fearful of him in the name of building a state, and it wouldn't work.
So before we move to Gambia, because I'm left with just 9 minutes with you before I have my next guest. So do you think that you don't think military leadership is the solution to current problem facing West Africa? Because the past 2 years we have seen almost 4 West African countries overthrowing their democratically elected government, and from what we see, the masses, embrace it. But from your research, it seems that is the opposite. So do you think Africa is ready for military leadership?
Yeah. Military leadership in Africa is not something new. We saw this since before
in the 60s, in the 50s.
1999, Ghana and Nigeria, but people are trying to shy away from this. But it's lack of awareness, and but if somebody is frustrated and thinking of his survival, and somebody in the Gambia is thinking of his child's school fee, medical bill, and he cannot even have a less than $1 a day, how do you think that individual is going to think? Do you think if you talk to him about governance or participating in a democratic process or in politics, he's not going to even listen to you, because it's lack of awareness. But if you don't participate in politics, you're going to see people who are going to govern you, who are not competent, who are inept, who are not qualified. That's why I said you will see cronyism and rent-seeking behavior in all these our governance systems. This is what is transcending across the Western Sahara, West African Sahel. And it is not new, and the government should do more, and even regional bodies, international government bodies should do more to put pressure on the system of governance, because you cannot force people to participate in governance or to buy people's loyalty. You have to do something for me to support you and use to ensure that you want to rule by the law.
Exactly. Dr. Keita, thank you very much. For those watching, this is the final take with me, Seni Marena. With me in the studio is Dr. Lamin Keita, a political scientist and a fellow at Kellogg Institute in the US. So, Doctor, now I'm focusing on the Gambia. Gambia head to the polls in 2 years' time, in 2026. As a political scientist, looking at the current political landscape, are you concerned about the trend ahead of the elections? Give us an overview of the political situation, because you have been monitoring, mostly political development in the region, including the Gambia. Give us an overview of the country's political landscape ahead of the 2026 presidential election. What is at stake and what should be done?
Yeah, the political landscape in the Gambia is tough and convoluted with a lot of variables. And if you look at the country, the Gambia is small, but If you look at the state governance since 2016, people hope that with transition we have done something which has never been done in the sub-regions, getting rid of a dictator through elections, which is really highly commendable for Gambia to obtain that. And I wrote an article on this, how Gambia ended 22 years of authoritarian regime. But the problem is the people who we entrusted our government with, and everybody hopes that, well, there is going to be this kind of Singapore. But for me, I was not hopeful, because I know that if I think political scientists and the theorists are watching over me, watching over what I'm saying. So in political science and even in law, people would attest to this, that what is it called? Coalition never lasts beyond 6 or 12 months. So if you are doing government and you are in government, or you are a politician, you should know this theory very well. Or you should revisit your political theories, because coalition never lasts more than 6 or 12 months.
So you want to tell me that Senegal will also face a similar issue like the Gambia?
Well, we got so it's gonna it's gonna be the test of the theory, but the theory is the coalition never stay more than 6. Is the range within the range of 6 and 12 months, 12 months, 1 year. So when they came, the first thing should be institutional reform, but it's never there. So the 2026, I will come there. Allow me to at least dissect this. So when they came, what we see is a kind of racketeer state, because based on the idea that our government can create threats to citizens through their own actions, or fabricating, confounding external threats. And we see this is consequential. Racketeer states influence corruptions of the citizens. And this also led to prebendalism. Prebendalism in the sense that a kind of political system where our elected officials and government workers feel that they have a right to share our government tax revenue at laissez-faire. Nothing would come out of it. And this is what the system we have in the system now. The people in our states who you work with, you, Steny, I myself, in 2000, before even 2003, 2000, when I went to New York, some of them are listening to me. I worked with them, and I went to the UN, and we demonstrated, and we wrote articles, and some of them are my mentors. Today, what is their behavior? Their behavior correlates with prebendalism states behavior. They don't care. They only after the revenue, which will satisfy them and their families and their ethnic groups. And this also leads to cronyism and rent-seekings behavior, which is integral part of the way our biggest companies do business in the Gambia. You come to the business sectors, this is what is happening. You have the lobbyists. If who have a tie, if you don't have a tie, or if you don't have a connection with the borough government, you will not do business in the Gambia. You will not prosper. These conditions are tragic, and increasing profit because of lobbyist behaviors. So this kind of behavior is really impacting the issue of governance in the Gambia. So 2016.
What impact will this have on? Okay, because we are running out of time. I think I have to provide a special conversation with Dr. To, so that you can dissect all this point. But briefly, what implication will the current happenings have on the 2026 presidential election? Because you talk about corruption, total disregard, and lack of accountability. So all this have an impact. As a political scientist, what impact will this have on the upcoming election?
So this is really consequential on the part of the government. And if there is a free and fair elections, what is happening in the Gambia, and if citizens are aware of their civil duties and civil rights, and they are aware of what is going on behind the scene of what they are, people they elected, people they entrusted, the executives, especially the head of state. I don't think the government will make it. But the problem with the Gambia is the electoral system.
Yeah.
First past the poll, because if you even defeat somebody one vote, that individual automatically become the president. But our electoral system is not sanitized enough for the oppositions. Either they know it or not, the IEC is not credible enough, and it is not conducive enough for oppositions to win under this current theory they have. The marble system, if I were the oppositions, is very easy to cheat. If definitely the oppositions want to win, they should push forward to pressure the government. We put them there. The citizens, not even the opposition, the citizens should push for free and fair elections. We are all Muslims. We vote Muslims and Christians. If definitely we want to rule fairly and we think of the next world, why can't we implement free and fair elections? But you want to cheat and sit on the government comfortably. You don't think of the next world. No. This is just nominal. So let me conclude this because it's important.
Yeah.
Gambian citizens should push for the marble. The Gambia is, I travel extensively in West Africa, but I think Gambian is the only country I see they are still using marbles, and a population of voters who are less than 2 million people. You said, well, we cannot afford it. Where on earth could you buy that? Could you substantiate that fact? The reasoning and the logic is not there. So we should push for the paper ballot system in the Gambia.
Okay, that's Dr. Lamin Keita, a postdoctoral fellow at the Kellogg Institute for International Studies at Notre Dame University, speaking there on democratic advances and effort to strengthen sustained growth in West Africa. Dr. Keita, many thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. So we will take a break, and when we are back, we'll have Dr. Ismaila Badji, a logistic professional, who will join us live from Nigeria to talk about the country's infrastructural development and the port expansion projects that is ongoing in the Gambia. We'll be back after this short break.
Tune into the final take with MK Marina every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.
Welcome back. If you are joining us anywhere, this is the final take with me, Seni Marina. We will be joined live by Mr. Ismaila Badji, who is joining us from Nigeria. Mr. Badji, thank you for joining us. Let me begin with you, to talk to us. Mr. Badji, you recently returned from, are you working? You need to be at one place because this is going to be an exciting conversation. So you need to sit comfortably and then let's have this conversation. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you are dialing from. It's a great day to be here with you, Mr. Marina. Yes, I'm just walking down to my hotel. I had a team building with my colleague, with my staff, and then I just rushed out so that I can join this very important interview.
Very well. So how many minutes will that take you to get settled quickly? If not, we can talk to one of our guests and get back to you in a couple of minutes, if that's okay with you, or you are already in.
I am already in the hotel now. In a second, I'll be seated.
Okay, then let's take a quick break and we'll be back shortly.
Tune into the final take with MK Marina every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.
Okay, wherever you are joining us, this is the final take with me, Seni MK Marina. Now let's take the conversation to the business sector and the looming logistic market reshaping industrial production and trade in Africa. It's a sector led by young professionals like Ismail Abaji, a Gambian professional with 24 years in shipping, logistic, and supply chain development, who join us live from Nigeria to discuss the emerging prospect shaping growth in the logistics sector and the country's infrastructural development. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Baji. Africa has been described as the newest emerging global economy with industry and logistic form sector ranging from oil to engineering and re-export trading, shaping growth prospect. How is this transforming business and market on the continent?
Thank you very much, Mr. Marina, and it's an honor to be here. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the viewers and those tuning in. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you today.
Yeah.
Of course, when you look at supply chain, shipping and logistics, it shapes economy in various forms and ways. Let me just point out that over 90% of the cargo across the world is by sea. And when you look at our seaport in Gambia, has a lot of areas of improvement. When you talk about that development, recently I understood the government of the Gambia has signed a concession agreement with Albarak. Right? I'm sure we're going to talk about more about it in the coming moments. But I just wanted to take one step back, just to comment on the previous guest when he talked about our electoral system and our balloting system. I know he's a professor and he's also very experienced when it comes to the area of political science. But I want to hasten to add to him that let him just remember that in 2016, a change of government happened through the ballot box using this marble system. And when you also look at what happened in the legislative elections in Gambia, we also had a lot of opposition candidates winning. In fact, the chairmanship election went four to UDP and four to the NPP, and not to talk about the various others. So while we can improve a lot on our electoral system, we shouldn't also think that it's doomed and nothing works there. In fact, it was previously claimed that the marble system is one of the most difficult to cheat because all the representatives are there on the day before the vote casting is there. But of course, it's a process and can always be improved. And just that's what I wanted to highlight. Yes.
Yeah, from a logistic perspective to a political science perspective. Well done, Mr. Baji. So coming to our first question, tell us about the impact. You recently were in Banjul, on a private visit, and then for the past 2 years, the country has at least witnessed some development in terms of infrastructure because of the OIC. Give us an overview about the country's infrastructure development, where we are and where we're going to.
So when you look at in terms of roads, I mean, I could say that there has been a lot of development. There has a lot of improvement when it comes to the road infrastructure. Today, you can actually drive really quickly from Banjul all the way to Bruceby, where I live, and other places. A good job done there, but still, we are still far away from where we want to be. When you look at our secondary roads, they're not good. When you look at the drainage system, it's not looking good. When you look at the turn points, they're not still good. When you look at our traffic model, is still needs to be improved. So while we can commend the OIC and then the government and all the guys who have done a good job in that, there's still a lot of work to do. And if you go to our neighboring countries, I have been lucky enough to have lived in Senegal, in Cameroon, in Tanzania, in Kenya, in Ghana, and now in Nigeria. There's a lot that we can learn from those countries in terms of our road infrastructure. But we can say that it's quite good. Again, when it comes to development, it's just not about the roads, right? When you look at our connection to the port, our port in Gambia is probably the only port apart from Guinea-Bissau which is still manual. We are still using Excel sheets. We are still collecting money at the port. We're still using the older methods, which I mean could be improved. If you look at the other countries, I mean, you can sit wherever you are and do your processing, make your payments, and get the release of your container. In Gambia, everything is physical, and that needs to change. I do know that customs, for example, are trying in all they can to digitalize, but it's the whole chain, you know, the end to end that has to be done, and that's where we need to improve. Now, if you look at the port, I would say that, I mean, there's no an operating system that they use. In other ports in the world, they have what we call navis or other port handling systems that you can use to make sure that, one, your productivity in the port is improved. The shipping lines want to call a port where they can do 30, 40, 50 containers per hour. In Gambia, we are just doing about 10, 12 containers per hour. Wow. Our next door neighbor, Senegal, is doing about 60. You know, don't talk about Nigeria because they're doing way more than that. I mean, or Ivory Coast or Ghana. So if we really want to compete in this global market, we need to benchmark ourselves against the other countries. Gambia is the only country, of course, when I'm talking about the only country, when you compare them to Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal, where we still use the ship's gears to be able to discharge your load. Other places we have gantry cranes, we have STS cranes, we have mobile harbor cranes to be able to discharge and load containers. And if you want to develop and improve, that's where we're going to be. And
Mr. Baji, you know, you talk about a very important thing, that is the digitalization of the ports, because you have been in many West African countries, not only Gambia, but even in Europe. Why is it taking the Gambia Port Authority, you know, this slow to, you know, migrate from, you know, to migrate to digital handling of port operation? Because I understand this is having an economic consequences on the country because it's slow, you know, and then, you know, why it is so slow to move from manual to digital in today's port operation?
Well, every change starts with yourself. I mean, is the will, and then I am sure there are so many software that you can just buy off the shelf. You can get a system as cheap as 20,000 euro to something as high as 50,000 euros. So it's up to the port management and the leadership and the board to say, okay, we want from 1st of January 2025, we are all going digital, right? We are going to do a yard. You're going to have a yard sys or a yard system where everything is digitalized. We're going to have a discharge and load operation. Everything is a system. We're going to have a man-free port where you don't see people walking around. It's only our port and maybe a few other ports in Africa where you can walk in. In other ports, you don't even see a human being there. I mean, you are in the US. Go to LA. Pier 400. You don't see a human being there, right? You go to Europe. I mean, there are no humans there. You go to Nigeria. I mean, the port, you don't see a human being there in the operational area. So also is Ghana, as is Senegal, as is in Cotonou. So it is not that it cannot be done. Kenya is no different. Tanzania is no different. And I can name countries and along all this. It's not a lack of capability. It's just a lack of the will. And if we don't improve ourselves, we don't have a digitalized system, we don't have clarity, what's going to happen is that the shipping companies will choose other places, like it is the case with Senegal. Now you see that most importers are taking their cargo to Senegal and then it's brought to Gambia by road. And this also means that, I mean, the direct jobs and indirect jobs that are created for the cargo when it comes to Banjul port is going away. And then, it explains why the CFI is going up on a daily basis against Dalasi, as is the euro and pound, because, it used to be a case where, all cargoes come to Banjul, and then southern Senegal, Bissau, and Mali used to come and pick their cargo from Banjul. But it's now the reverse. It's a kind of a reverse logistics happening here.
Absolutely. So as an expert, logistic expert, if we are to advise the government of the Gambia in this a new digital revolution that most ports are establishing or are undergoing, what advice will you tell them? You know,
But the first thing is to embrace technology, accept and realize that the world is going, that's the direction it's going, and it's not going to go backwards. So if you really want to compete with the other ports in the subregion, you have to go digital. One. Second thing is that you need to embrace and accept field experts. I mean, the Gambia Ports Authority is one of the parastatals in Gambia that has invested heavily in training its manpower. So I was based in Ghana for 5 years, and every year I'm seeing nothing less than 10, 15 people being sent to Ghana, to be trained. So when you look at the human resources in the Gambia port, they're very highly qualified people there, from the MD all the way down to the last person there. So there's no question of capability
but
or
Mr.
ability
Baji,
there.
this is not been translated into reality. You cannot have highly qualified and competent people running stuff, and there is no value added to it. Something must have gone wrong somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. It is the will, right? It is the will, the will, and the. I mean, basically, it's the will to do it. There's no lack of capability or knowledge, I would say. So if tomorrow they want to go digital, I mean, there is nothing stopping them. It's basically you can go and buy a software off the shelf for 20,000 euros, and then 1st of January 2024 is online. You go online on the platform, you pay your port handling and everything else. I mean, why I'm saying this, the next door neighbor, which is SMG dry port, today everything is digitalized. This is dry port in Banjul, everything is on digital. I mean, you go there, you get your invoice, you go and pay online. Your container arrives, and then you know where the container is. And it's easy, and that's a small, 20,000 square meter dry port. If they can do it, why not the port?
Are we losing revenue without digitalization?
Of course. I mean, when you don't digitalize, it's difficult for you to be able to collect every single dollar, right? I mean, there was allegation of millions of dollars being lost,
been missing
at the port. I mean, imagine if this was digitalized. It's very easy for you to track it. It's very easy for you to even to know the productivity of each crane operator, the productivity of each cashier, the productivity of each person that is working out over there. And what you cannot measure, you cannot improve.
Mr. Baji, in the 70s and in the early 80s, I might be young because I'm a young man, but you might know something about the Banjul port was considered champion in West Africa due to its strategic location and relative prominent role in regional trade, especially for neighboring countries such as Senegal and landlocked countries like Mali. In recent time, the ports have been punching below her weight, as the Gambia losing business to competitive ports in the sub-region. In your view, where did the port of Banjul got it wrong, and how do we fix this?
So life is all about continuous improvement and being creative and thinking out of the box for what is inside the box for you to improve. Now, when you look at Senegal, which is our main competitor in this particular case, Senegal, they took a holistic view and said, okay, if we need to regain the South Senegal market, Mali, and Guinea-Bissau, what do we need to do? This current cargo is going to Gambia, right? So in 2008, Senegal signed an agreement with DP World to take over the management of the terminal, the container terminal. Well, yes, I was there by that time, and then we helped in the transition, and then I left back to Banjul and into Cameroon. The reason is that, as I mentioned before, the shipping lines want faster turnaround of their vessels. The importers want a cheaper freight. The customers that are buying want to make sure that there is a seamless cargo clearing process. Senegal has been able to provide that. And therefore, it is not surprising for me to see that most of our importers are sending their cargo to Dakar, and then they say discharge Dakar, delivery Banjul. So then they drive it to Banjul, or they strip the cargo and bring it to Banjul. Where did we get it wrong? Where we got it wrong was that we were complacent, thinking that because we are in this competitive position, we are going to be there forever. So we didn't actually think about tomorrow. We were quite happy with where we are. So what has happened was that all the cargo import or export, the import that was going to Ziguinchor and its environs, now they go to Dakar. And the exports, the cashew nut and all whatnot that used to come from Ziguinchor to Banjul is no longer coming through there. And of course, Mali, Senegal has been smart enough to make sure that there's a platform logistic which is dedicated to Senegalese to Malian importers. So all the cargo goes down there, and they've given them extended free time there.
Gambia, Mr. Baji, Gambia has always been helping Mali, which is a landlocked country, because I have seen a lot of trucks coming into Gambia, collecting goods at the seaport, going through Mali. But there has been some changes to this. Why?
Like I said earlier, I mean, the ship owners want a quick turnaround time of their cargo, of their ship when it comes to Banjul. Banjul productivity is 10 or 12, about 15 moves per hour. Senegal is offering about 40 to 60 moves per hour. So therefore, the vessel can come and spend quick time and leave. Therefore, the freight rates also to Dakar is less than Banjul. I mean, when it comes to custom processes, Senegal has digitalized that. So when the cargo lands, and then not the last one but not the least, I mean, the Senegalese authorities have given the cargo that are destined for Mali a platform logistic to Mali. So they've given them a location where all cargo that is going to Mali is stuck there, and they're giving them extended free time. In the case of Gambia, we just maintain how it has been since in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And the early 2000s, I said, okay, we are going to continue getting the business as it is. Now, where we've got it wrong is thinking that what has brought us to where we were in 1980 will take us to 2024, and we got it wrong. And that is why, for example, today, I mean, if you look at the digital world, for example, Kodak, I give an example of some company like Kodak and others. I mean, they went out of business because they didn't digitalize or transform. And since we didn't transform, the countries that are close to us decided to transform. And that's why they're getting all the business today. I mean, an importer in Banjul today will tell you that I send my cargo to Dakar, it's faster, cheaper. And then I get it here by road in no time.
But Banjul port is more strategic than Dakar port. But why are we losing business to Dakar port now?
So I just mentioned to you, strategically we are well positioned, including our international airport. When you look at transcontinental trade, I mean, from Gambia, for example, it can connect to all the countries in the world. Yeah, but quickly. Again, what is the value? It's all driven down to the value. What is the value of bringing your cargo to Banjul port versus the value that you get from bringing the cargo to Dakar port, right? I told you, cheaper freight. For example, a 20-foot container from China coming to China, from China to Dakar, it will be 1,600 euro, and it's $3,500 euro to Banjul. Where will you ship to? Right? In Dakar, your cargo is arriving at the port, is digitalized. You can do your examination on everything, and then you pay online, and then your cargo gets released. You don't even need to see the custom official. You don't even need to see the port guys. You just send your truck. There's a truck appointment system. You go send your truck. Your cargo gets out. Then send your cargo to Banjul. First of all, there's no system at the stacking in the port, so you have to go and look for the container. Then you have to go and do an examination. You have to be scanned. You have to be there physically. You have to go and pay customs. You go and back and forth. A process that's supposed to take 4 to 6 hours is taking you 6 days. Where will you go? It's about business. Every businessman or woman wants to maximize profit.
Right.
And
right.
Because,
yeah. Go ahead.
So every businessman wants to maximize profit, and if you're not able to maximize profit because of all the other costs, especially costs that are hidden, costs that you cannot actually do an estimate on, you go for the ones that are reliable, that are predictable, and you can also get the cargo into the market as quickly as you can. And that's where the difference is.
Okay. Mr. Baji, this is a very, very interesting discussion, and I'm learning a lot about logistics, shippings, and port operations in West Africa. So now, tell us, just a couple of months ago, the Gambia government, through the port authorities, had an agreement with the Turkish company about the port expansion. Do you think that this will have a significant improvement in port operation in the country? And are you concerned about this agreement?
So, first of all, I have been trying to lay my hands on the agreement
Yeah.
until now. I failed to. I failed to lay my hands on it so that I can read it.
Okay.
On the face value, I would assume that the authorities and the port have really looked at it to make sure that it is a concession that will help improve not only jobs but also be able to be competitive. That's element number one. Number two, I don't know what was the criteria they used to choose Al Barak, but if you look, if you
I
look
think
at
according to the report, they went through a open tender bidding, and then at the end of the Al Barak was unanimously chosen to take the project.
Yeah, so I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't know what is the process and why Al Barak was chosen. It could be some bilateral reasons or whatever. But if you look at Al Barak, I mean, you want to compete, right, to the other big players. Al Barak doesn't feature in the top 2, 3, terminal operators in the world, right? Well, you can decide to go with them for various criteria. That's why I said I didn't lay my hands on the document, so I cannot actually give an expert advice on this. But what I would have assumed was that Al Barak would have given the government of the Gambia productivity assurance. They would have given them safety. They would have given them. I mean, I would say that when you do a concession, you have to do a financial appraisal of the project. You have to do a technical appraisal of the project. You have to do an operational video of the project, and of course, you have to do a commercial one. I mean, I would love to see the commercial assumptions that we are used there. They are saying, well, what I read from the newspaper is that 5 to 6 years, and then they will move to Sanyang Port.
Yeah,
I am very keen to look at that because, I'll keen to look at that because when you look at your numbers, it will take a lot of years for you to be able to recover your revenue, your costs for building a brand new port in Sanyang. Gambia does less than 100,000 imports a year. How many thousand containers you need to do for you to be able to reach that level? In contrast, Senegal is doing almost close to 1 million containers. Ghana is almost about that level. Nigeria, of course, is the superpower of Africa. They're doing much more than that. So I want to see the financial business case to show that we can have a brand new port in Sanyang and the payback period of and all those technicalities. So, but again, like I said, for me to really give you a proper analysis on unbiased one, I need to lay my hands on the document, which until now I have failed to.
Okay. For those watching, this is the final take with me, Seni Marana. In the studio is Dr. Ismail Baji. I call him doctor because he's a PhD candidate right now. So Dr. Baji, in your honest opinion, do you think the Gambia Port authorities should be privatized to ensure efficient and effective service delivery to Gambians? In your honest opinion? It seems I lost Dr. Baji. Dr. Baji, are you there? It seems Dr. Baji is having some connection issues. But for those watching, as I said, this is the final take with me, Seni MK Marina, bringing her week of current affairs to your doorstep. So we will move on after this after this break. We will bring in John Mendy, who is the president of the Gambian students in America and Canada, who is going to talk to us about his new organization. It seems Dr. Baji is back. Dr. Baji, are you there?
But I had an interrupting call.
Yeah, we are almost. This is your final moment. We are just left with at least 1 minute. So, in your honest opinion, do you think it's time to privatize the Gambia Port Authority to ensure, effective and efficient service delivery to Gambians?
I didn't quite get your question. Come again.
I mean, in your opinion, do you think that it's high time for the government to privatize the port authority to ensure that there is effective service delivery for Gambians?
In my humble view, this is overdue. This should have been done. So this should have been done 10 years, 15 years ago. And then the Gambia Port Authority should just remain as the landlord, and then take care of the the landlord responsibility, whereas the terminal operations.
Dr. Baji, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, Dr. Baji. It seems we're having some troubles with Dr. Baji. We are at the final end of this, the final take. Dr. Baji is going on and off. But Doctor, just in 1 minute, do you think we need to...
Sorry again. I got some calls. So I was saying, in my view, I think that, this is... it should have been done 15 years ago. But nonetheless, I do hope and pray that the guys that are going to manage this will make sure that the Al-Baraka are held to account to deliver on them. I hope Al-Baraka will bring all the digitalization that we need. I hope Al-Baraka will also go after these major lines to make sure that they reverse this trend, and most importantly, get our Gambian professionals in the scope and train more people in the shipping and logistics and arena. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to each and every one of you. It's exactly 8 p.m. my time. I think I've run out of time, but Seni MK Marina, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Ismaila Baji, a logistic and value chain expert, talking to me from his base in Nigeria, where he is currently living. Many thanks for joining us, Dr. Baji. Moving on, we will be talking to the president of a newly formed Gambian Students Association in the United States and Canada, named the Union of Gambian Students, Graduates and Associate Scholars in America and Canada, John Mendy, who will tell us about the newly formed association. Mr. Mendy, welcome to the final take with me, Seni MK Marina.
Thank you so much, Seni. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you, Alkama Times, for giving us the platform to speak to the greater audience. I'm happy to be here.
I supposed to have you well on this show, but now is the time. But I will have you on a different one so that you can also talk to us, because I understand you also a political scientist or so, something like that, right?
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk to you and talk through your platform anytime.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Mendy, on a serious note, you have been duly elected as the president of the Union of Gambian Students, Graduates, Associate Scholars in America and Canada during one of your meetings a couple of weeks ago. Bring us to speed about your organization. Tell us about your organization.
Yes, the Union of Gambian Scholars in North America comprises of students, graduates, and associates within the U.S. here and Canada as well under one umbrella, with the main objective of bringing Gambians who are in the diaspora, specifically in these countries that I just mentioned, to come together as a union, as a body, to pursue one common goal, which is to better the life, to establish a community, and then serve the greater good. And the greater good comprises of the wills and aspirations of the community member, which is the association member, and also by extension also galvanize this group of scholars who are in different fields to contribute in nation building.
What inspired you to come? Because you play a very instrumental role in bringing all these Gambian students in America and Canada on one umbrella. So what's the inspiration behind this organization?
Yeah, the inspiration, well, I don't want this to be very personal, but since you asked what inspired me, basically when I came here in the US to study, I have been thinking about what can we do as a community in order, because I see a lot of the intellectuals here, I see people with diverse background what can the country benefit from this brain drain, if you call it that way? And also, apart from the remittances, and what also can we, living in isolated place, form and establish a vibrant and a strong community, and which I think is very prudent, especially to people who are in the diaspora. But then the trigger to this whole incident was the case of Amadou, where we felt a brother of ours, was going through a lot of things that we could have mitigated if we had a union.
Yeah.
So I put the idea outside there in the social media, and then so many people buy in, and then that's how we come together and establish it on the fateful day of May 14. And by May 19, we had our inauguration. Within a short period of time, we were able to gather a huge number of Gambian scholars both in the US and in Canada to establish this formidable union. Since then, compatriots, everybody is a key player, and the credit goes to every single member who we are able to hold the bull by its horn. And I think the credit does not go to me, but actually goes to each and every member. And thanks also to the visionary leaders of executive.
Okay. John, it seems one of your Secretary General has just joined this conversation. Moving on, that's Yankuba Mane, who is also your Secretary General of this student union. Yankuba, going forward, what do you guys intend to achieve at the end of the day? Because it seems there have been a void. There has not been any organization representing Gambian students here. So how do you intend to bridge this gap with the coming of your new organization as the Secretary General number 1 or 2? I'm not sure which is which, but I know you are a Secretary General because that's a role you perfectly play in many organizations. So I'm not surprised that you are elected to this role in the Gambian students in the US. So going forward, what do you intend to achieve, as the Gambian students in the US?
Thank you so much, MK. I think first of all we have to recognize, the role Alcamba is playing in terms of, giving voice, to people and groups, organizations, within the Gambia and of course in the diaspora that are determined, of course, to, make things happen, wherever their location, and of course by extension to the Gambia. So that's a good job Alcamba is doing. And then this new union called, Union of Gambian Scholars in North America. We deeply recognize this. And earlier today, I was telling them about the Alcamba's position in this, in terms of being the first media outlet in the Gambia, and of course in America, to hear from us. Thank you so much for the good job you're doing. I'm also glad to share this platform with my president. And of course, he has laid a good foundation as to what has led to the formation of this union. The union comprises over 300 to 400 students. He has said what necessitated it. It is in the wake of Amadou's incident in Canada that, of course, you brought to the world's attention. Alcamba took that lead. So, when that came, great minds think alike, and they thought, it is important to come and unionize, so that we can become each other's keepers, because we are all in the diaspora. And then we all know how it feels. He who lives it, knows it. So this is what motivates. So, the plan is to bring all Gambian students in America and in Canada under one umbrella, where we will be each other's keepers, giving each other support, whether it is academic, financial, or any other means possible, just to comfort us here while on studies in America and in Canada. And so this, we just started. It is a baby union, of course, but yes, the executive is just blessed with great minds. People who are ready to serve this union and ensure that it does not only have an impact within America and Canada, but also reflects the impact it is having on the Gambian and the Gambian people. So plans are afoot. I mean, we have our first, second executive meetings. And of course, as we speak, the general membership is also watching because, I mean, this interview is being shared with them that we will be here, on our debut interview, media interview on Alcamba Times.
Right.
So so this is we are just gathering and planning, doing our preparation to gather, come up with our blueprint. I'm sure in the subsequent interview on Alcamba Times, we will share with you and your audience, of course, the big packages that we think when we implement them will definitely have impact on us and in the Gambia. And it's Gambian still, but you all know, whether you are a student or you are not a student, when you are in America, the challenges there are abound. So we thought, unionizing us would be a good therapy to ameliorate the sufferings of students faced, in America and in Canada. So in essence, that's the basic. But in terms of our blueprint on the activities, our area of interventions, we'll furnish this medium in the subsequent interviews.
Many thanks, Yankuba. Coming to your president, Mr. John, I have seen the list of executive close to 12, 13, how diverse it is, to cater for the growing demand of Gambian students. Because I understand we had huge Gambian students in America and Canada, and then there is no available data. Probably you might provide data for me, but, how diverse is this organization?
Yeah, this organization is very diverse. One of the things that we do when at the early stage of the formation is also to get data of members, because we do surveys. We ask questions whether we want to have a well-established organization or we just want to form a union without any head or structures. But then the voices that emanate from that survey suggest that we have to establish a strong union with structures and functional to serve the future. So, and then from those surveys to, people, the genders, people's background, their studies, and all those things, we were able to tap some of those information from there. And that suggests from that point, one could conclude that the composition of the membership is very diverse. And then one thing we also do is to introduce ourselves in that platform. And anybody that comes, they introduce themselves, their field of studies, their area of specialty, and the list goes on. So we could able to have an idea about the kind of people that we have on board. And then if you look at coming to the executive, these are people with proven track record of leadership. And then they have been tested in different ways, and then, their education, their work experience, their track record, they have been tested. And we brought them on the basis of that. And it is also very, very diverse in terms of gender and in terms of even academic training. And then we make sure that people who are into different field, in different positions, actually has a strong grip of that particular field. So that we make sure that we don't bring square hole in round pegs. We make sure that we bring competent people of character, yes, with also expertise to serve in those positions.
Okay. John, I think we are running out of time. This and 1 hour so, but we are at 1 hour, 13 minutes. But I see your Assistant Secretary General, who is also joining this conversation. I will allow him to share his perspective on the association before I give each of you 1 minute to round it up. Mohamed Wyatt Dabo is the Assistant Secretary General of the Student Association. Wyatt Dabo, if we are there, can you share your perspective with us about this association and where do you want to take it to next level?
Thank you so much, Seni. I think already I am very much represented here by the president and the secretary general, and like they said, the association is only meant to foster support for African students that are in the United States and in Canada. And of course, those people who are coming here, I can tell you from personal experience, it is always a blind shot when you're coming to study either in America or in Canada, no matter how much information is given to you by your colleagues and peers around you. It is only convincing And when you have an association that is established by people who have already gone through the experience, who have lived in societies, who are currently facing it, and who have now the means to support, to ensure that those experiences are not what another person will encounter from our African, from Gambians that may be coming here. So this is the whole foundation. This is the whole idea. And we are moving progressively to make sure that this is established on these ideals, on this foundation, to ensure that at least we also have that smooth and great representation here for our students that may be coming in the future. Thank you.
Many thanks, Mohamed Dabo, for that intervention. Mr. President, in 1 minute, what do you want to tell other students who are yet to join this union that is growing like the Californian wildlife, wildfire? Because I'm in the group, but I'm a detective. I'm always laying low, but I have seen what you guys are up to and what you guys doing. So in 1 minute,
Yeah, I think this association have grown so past our imagination, and probably many, perhaps skeptical, would have not even believed that we will grow this number. And as I speak to you, every day people are joining. Every day, some people will even want to join when they are even planning to come. That at some point we were advised that we just have to wait till they arrive, but we can help facilitate their coming.
Right.
That shows the feeling, the zeal. We have even seen people who want to join, who are, because in fact that saves the name of the association, because that's why we have to remove the name student only to make it scholar, so that it is a comprising of both students, graduates, and also professional, because everybody wants to be in. And then we have to cater for that, because those that are in today, tomorrow they become associate or professionals in other fields. So what is more befitting is to have a term that captured everybody and be very inclusive. So I think the vision is very clear, and there is hope, and also accompanied with tangible actions. So I think with this, and the composition of the membership and the leadership, particularly the vibrant executive that we work with, this is top notch, and the committees as well. So I believe that the committee members, executive members, and even the general members are willing and always ready to serve. That's what inspired the whole process, and I think we will go bigger and bigger every day.
Absolutely. Thank you. Many thanks, Mr. President. Yankuba, you are the Secretary General, and then you will be doing a lot of trouble, because North America is so big, and you have to bring everyone under one umbrella, because otherwise you won't be able to achieve the goal of this organization. So final word before I let you go in 1 minute, because
thank you so much. The final word would be just to thank you once again. Alcamba and the management of Alcamba Time, and of course we would also like to thank and appreciate the good work that our membership, this union membership is doing, especially the executive council. We will also want to give words of assurance to Gambian students that are currently in the Gambia, and then planning for their
Yankuba, it seems you are breaking. Can you hear us?
Yeah, so send
in America and in Canada. We want to assure them that this union is there. Let them take ownership of it, of course, as part of our blueprint,
Okay, Baba Youngs, we don't have much time. Mohammed, you want to say something quickly before I draw the curtain of this interview? I have completed my official timing, but because I'm part of this group, I can still let you guys talk. But we are almost at the end of the interview, so just 1 minute and then we wrap it up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what my SE was trying to say is that there is a very solid assurance from the point of the association for all the scholars who want to come in the United States, that there is an association that is ready to support them. There is an association that have the willpower to go along with you through all the crucibles. We will ensure that when you come to the United States for your studies, you are guided properly and everything is facilitated for you. Okay. I have seen already, if you are in the group, you will see people who are already, asking questions about who they are to live with, who to stay with, whether they are in Washington, D.C. or they are in Seattle. And those questions are already tackled by people privately, they are handled. So it means the goals of the association is already on the footing, is already going progressively. And we hope that it is more solidified and then we are able to attain all of our objectives very successfully.
Many thanks, gentlemen. That's the executive leadership of the Gambian students, graduates, associate scholars in America and Canada, trying to bring every student in North America under one umbrella. Gentlemen, thank you for joining the final take with me, Seni MK Marina. That brings us to the end of this interview, and do join us next week for another exciting episode. Many thanks, and do have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the final take with me, Seni MK Marina. That will bring us to the end of this interview.
Tune into the final take with MK Marina every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news. Innovation.